Holdbacks averaged 112% above face value for group stage matches. For knockout rounds, you are looking at 240% or more. A family of 4 attending the final at MetLife Stadium, sitting in what FIFA calls Category 3 seats, would have spent over $4,700 on tickets alone. That is before airfare, before the $105 train ride, before food, before lodging. Now watch what happens when you do the math on a normal budget. The average American household making the median income of roughly $80,000 a year would need to spend nearly 9% of their entire post-tax earning. They told you the 2026 World Cup would be the biggest party on earth. They lied. Forget the try-in. Forget the smart ball. Forget the sensors and the VR data and all the shiny engineering FIFA wants you to look at. Because while they were busy polishing that battery-powered trophy decoration, the real story was burning down somewhere else. Somewhere FIFA never bothers to look. Inside the wallets of the very fans this tournament was built for. Let me show you what is actually happening 11 days before kickoff. And fair warning, it is not pretty. Start with the numbers that actually matter. Not hotel bookings, not flight data. The numbers inside the ticket itself. Because here is the thing FIFA forgot to mention when they announced those 34% average price increases back in April. That was the floor, not the ceiling. What fans actually paid on the secondary market, the only market most of them could access after official allocations vanished into corporate hospitality packages and sponsored GS just to put 4 butts in seats for one match. Not the final, a group stage match. Compare that to 2014 in Brazil, where the same percentage of local income bought you tickets to the semifinals. The arithmetic has inverted. The World Cup used to be expensive. Now it is exclusionary by design, and here is where the story gets sharper. FIFA knows this. They built for it, because they are not selling tickets to fans anymore. They are selling tickets to corporations. Hospitality packages for the 2026 World Cup start at $8,500 per person and go up past $45,000. Those packages include premium seats, catering, and something else. Access to former players, private lounges, expedited entry. The things regular fans wait 3 hours for, these buyers skip entirely. And there are more of them than ever. According to documents obtained by a German sports business publication last month, FIFA increased corporate hospitality allocations by 40% compared to 2022. Those seats came from one place. The general public allotment, so the fan who saved for 4 years. The father taking his son for the first time. The supporter group that travels to every tournament. They are not being priced out by accident. They are being replaced, systematically, quietly, with a spreadsheet. But wait, because the real cruelty is not the price. It is what happens after you pay it. Remember the New York and New Jersey subpoenas from 4 days ago, the ones demanding FIFA's internal ticketing documents. Those exist because hundreds of fans bought seats that did not exist, not obstructed view, not last row, non-existent. The ticketing system sold the same seat multiple times, confirmed it via email, and then sent a follow-up weeks later offering comparable or upgraded seating in a different section. Some fans received 3 different seat assignments for the same match. Others received none at all. One fan documented his entire experience. He paid $1,200 for 2 tickets to the semi-final in Dallas. He received a confirmation with seat numbers. He booked his flight from London. He booked his hotel. Then 63 days before the match, FIFA emailed him to say his seats were under review. 41 days later, they offered him new seats. In a different stadium, 300 miles away, he is going to the semi-final in Dallas. FIFA moved him to Atlanta. His flight is non-refundable. His hotel is non-refundable. His tickets, also non-refundable. The fine print says seat locations are subject to change. The fine print does not say they can change the city. This is not a ticketing glitch. This is the system working exactly as designed. Because that fan from London, he will probably still go. He will probably still spend money. And FIFA already has his $1,200. They do not care which stadium he watches from. Now zoom out. Because the ticket story is just the entry point. The real rot is deeper. Consider the volunteer program. FIFA promised 20,000 volunteer positions across the 16 host cities. Applications opened in September 2025. More than 310,000 people applied. Of those, 48,000 were invited to interviews. Of those, 20,000 were supposed to receive positions. But in March, FIFA quietly reduced that number to 12,000. No public announcement, no explanation, just an internal memo that leaked to a soccer podcast last week. The reasons cited: operational efficiencies. What that means in plain English is that FIFA replaced paid local staff with unpaid volunteers, then replaced the volunteers with nobody. The fans who cleared their schedules, arranged childcare, took time off work, they found out their positions did not exist when the training portal never opened. And the volunteers who did make the cut, they are required to pay for their own uniforms, their own transportation to and from stadiums, their own meals during shifts that run up to 12 hours. What they receive in return is a certificate of appreciation and a single match ticket to a group stage game they will be too busy working to attend. The math on that exchange is not lost on anyone. FIFA saves an estimated $18 million by cutting paid staff and offloading costs onto volunteers. That is $18 million that could have gone to local economies, to worker wages, to making the tournament actually feel like a celebration instead of an extraction. Instead, it goes into the same account that just paid FIFA's president a 45% compensation increase last year. Let us talk about that president for a moment. Not by name, by action, because the person running this organization has been remarkably consistent. In the months leading up to this World Cup, he has done exactly three things of note. First, he secured a multi-billion-dollar sponsorship renewal from a Saudi Arabian state-owned enterprise. Second, he successfully lobbied to move the 2034 World Cup to Saudi Arabia unopposed. Third, he attended exactly 0 public events related to host city preparations in the United States. Not the hotel cancellations, not the visa lockouts, not the ticketing lawsuits, not the volunteer cuts. The head of world football has been invisible in the country supposedly hosting his flagship event, but he did find time to pose for photographs with the try-in. The ball that needs charging. The symbolism writes itself. Now watch what happens when you add one more layer, the security budget. For the 2026 World Cup, the Department of Homeland Security allocated $1.2 billion for what it calls event-specific security operations. That is more than the last 3 World Cups combined. And here is what that money is buying. Stadium entrances with facial recognition scanning every attendee. Drone surveillance over every host city. A mobile phone monitoring system that law enforcement sources say will track location data of anyone within a half-mile radius of any match venue. The stated purpose is counterterrorism. The actual effect is the most intrusive surveillance apparatus ever deployed at a sporting event. And here is the question nobody is asking. What happens to that data after the tournament ends? The contracts do not say. The privacy impact assessments, the ones that were supposed to be published last January, have not been released. When a coalition of civil liberties groups filed a Freedom of Information request for those documents in February, the Department of Homeland Security responded with a 60-day extension. Then another. The documents will arrive sometime after the World Cup ends. By then, the surveillance infrastructure will already be in place, and it will not be removed. Because that is how these things work. Temporary security measures become permanent. Emergency powers become routine. And fans attending a soccer match become data points in a system nobody voted for. But you will not hear any of this from FIFA. You will not hear it from the broadcasters who paid billions for the rights and have no interest in undermining their investment. You will not hear it from the sponsors whose logos decorate every inch of this tournament, and whose contracts include clauses allowing them to withdraw funding if the brand association becomes negative. What you will hear is the official story. The greatest World Cup ever, the most technologically advanced, the most inclusive, the most sustainable, The same words they used in 2022. The same words they will use in 2030. The same words they use every time while the gap between the press release and the pavement grows wider, and the fans, the real fans, the ones who still love this sport despite everything, they are making their own choices. The supporter group from Germany that announced last month they would not travel to the United States, not because of politics, because of cost, because the ticket they paid $150 for in 2006 now costs $650, because the hostel they stayed in for $40 a night now charges $240, because the joy has been priced out and replaced with a transaction. They are watching from home. 1,000 of them in a rented hall in Dortmund, drinking beer, singing songs, and sending a message that FIFA will never hear because FIFA does not listen to fans. FIFA listens to broadcasters, to sponsors, to the Saudi Public Investment Fund, to anyone with a check large enough to clear. So here is the truth 11 days out. The 2026 World Cup will happen. The matches will be played. The goals will be scored. A champion will be crowned. And on television it will look exactly like every other World Cup. Beautiful, thrilling, unforgettable. But inside the stadiums something will be missing. Not just the fans from Senegal and Iran and Ivory Coast and Haiti who could not get visas. Not just the volunteers who were promised a role and given a ghost. Not just the father who saved for 4 years and lost his seat to a hospitality package. All of them. All of that absence. It will be there in the quiet sections, in the empty seats that corporate buyers never filled, in the reduced capacity that FIFA will call operational adjustments. And nobody watching on television will ever know. The ball is charged. The cameras are rolling. The show is ready. The only question is whether anyone left in those stands still believes it is for them. That is the World Cup they built. 11 days. You will see for yourself.